we would see precisely these little Mandelbrot sets, one after another, again and again, reflecting in each of them, respectively, the pattern of the whole.
Many of these things that have been planned don't work out. And I do believe that we're like children in a sandbox, essentially. And there are beings of vastly higher intelligence and vastly higher ability that essentially make sure that we could foul up the nest if we want to, but outside of the nest, not much is going to happen. And even inside the nest, we live in a very highly structured reality. This is the most intrinsic thing to awaken to on the spiritual path is so many people are living their lives thinking that it's just cause and effect on the most gross level of, like, if a human being does something, that's what happens, or if nature does something, that's what happens, but there's no other causality. And it's this magical awakening that happens when you start to see a connection between your thoughts and the manifestation that happens.
That's where this is all headed. That's where it has always been headed. These layers are building and building, and what they're building is heaven.
When you look at all of the things that have happened in your life that show you that there is more to life than this physical reality, there is such a positive, amazing force out there that wants you to believe that you are protected, that you are being guided, that you will be brought to the right place at the right time, you'll meet the right people, you'll hear the message.
The whole species has never been unified in a harmonic standard. And the opportunity exists today to become unified in a harmonic standard and to experience harmonic unity, harmonic synchronization. And this is what we want. That's what everybody wants. Everybody wants, you know, like what you were saying at the beginning of the show and your meditation. Everyone wants to live a joyous, blissful life every day. It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what boundaries there exist. Borders will disappear when we live in harmony. Governments will disappear when we live in harmony.
Right, those illusions.
Yeah, those are all illusions that keep us cramped, and they're all fixed and rooted in the calendar. This timelessness is like what I call vertical time.
Yeah, okay? Beyond religion.
Yeah, beyond all that, because it introduces a state of mind and being that allows your soul, allows your consciousness to rise and to expand and to transcend the third dimensional physical. Okay, it allows you to go into the fourth dimensional time space. And when you look at what we're talking about, a cosmic timing standard like the 13-moon 28-day calendar, when we say perpetual, that means once you introduce living on that, after a certain point, that perpetual time gets you to timelessness. Okay, because there's no distinction. Okay, history is a function of irregular timing standards.
You were chosen to come to this world, and you chose to come to this world. End of story. You are the divine system that a physical, spiritual matter, person, or being, or consciousness can move through you and manifest into this rock in the middle of a solar system. And you're here because they decided, as they're unfolding from that dimension of reality into this dimension of reality, there's nobody better than you to be able to execute that particular precise moment, whether it be once or 1,000 times, than you. So the fact that there may be anybody else on the earth just like you is 1 in 16 billion. Well, there's only 6 billion, 300 or 400 million suckers here. So guess what? You the one.
You know, if we were to take a crystal glass here and we would start to put a higher vibration on that glass,
crack at some point.
Well, the first thing it does is it contracts.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
It tries to hold on to itself, and then it blows open.
I see.
And so what you're saying is an example of the contraction of 5 sensory people, because They know something's changing.
Right.
They can feel.
Dylan told them that about 25 something
Right,
times.
right. Something's going on here, and so they're trying to hold on to the old form.
Right.
And so five sensory people are really kind of in your face right now, and that's why shows like this are so important, because we're the higher vibration. And so when people are told the world's going to hell in a handbasket and it looks as bad as it's ever been, then what we need to say is that's only appearance. That's the contraction before we have this incredible breakthrough. And our job as light workers, our job as messengers of the new paradigm is to just keep our attention and focus and message on this higher vibration.
This is the time of the big change. It changes us or we change. We can change. And before we get totally changed in the wrong way, okay? It says in the Quran, it's not difficult at all for God to change, to remove you and put in other people there. Okay? It's not difficult for us to be erased from our program because we're not getting the lesson, or we can be courageous and say, oh, I think there's a point here. Let's change the program and see what happens. Shift our priorities and begin to make this shift. And I guarantee you that just the very act of getting together to make this change will synchronize and unify so many people that it will stun the governments and stun the corporations and say, hey, there's a new thing happening on the earth. To change the calendar is actually an evolutionary act, and it's an act that furthers the mind. When we're talking about the harmonic standard of the 13-moon 28-day calendar, that is locked into a fourth dimensional experience of time, which actually has graduated levels and layers of elevation of consciousness that most people right now wouldn't even dream exist. And so I'm just saying that by not taking this opportunity, we are forfeiting the possibility of expanding our consciousness in ways way beyond what even the greatest mystics and dreamers have conceived of.
Well, one of the things I teach that I think is very important about this new paradigm and how to open up your sixth sense is that the five sensory world works out of the ego. And the ego's primary voice is me against you. And you scare me. So, up go the... But the sixth sensory fundamental connection is that we work from the spirit. So rather than role to role, we connect soul to soul. And as you were saying in the beginning, on a soul level, we are connected. We are family. We are the same. So there's no one to be afraid of. And I always say to my students, there's no them. There's just us. And we can be comfortable with each other. And the only way to get comfortable with each other is to get out of your head and to get into this spirit connection. It is a vibration. It's a feeling.
We have to have some kind of engaged political, social activism going on. But I guess I would say that can be most effective if we also at the same time have a sort of a spiritual practice going on in our own inner. In other words, that we're doing somehow, we're doing the centering work, we're doing the work on ourselves spiritually to remain balanced. And part of that, I think, is to refuse to be snowed by the fear-mongerers and the controllers and the deceivers. So we really have to work hard to keep our BS meters operating, to be able to discern the wheat from the chaff, and then at the same time to be practicing a spiritual centering. I think meditation is really a good thing. To practice even 15 minutes of meditation in the morning can really, if you keep it up over weeks and weeks and weeks, it can really transform one's effectiveness in your worldly pursuits. So in the domain of political activism, then, it can be that much more effective.
I do believe there is a reason for everything, and we have to actually ride this out weather the storm and understand there is a horizon on the other side. But unfortunately, humanity has picked this experience. It appears that way on every single level, and that we're in this cycle. To get through this cycle, this new world order, we actually have to have that belief that we're going to make it through. Once you let the hope get sucked from you, that is the beginning of the end for you on the individual level.
Okay. What we don't understand in the science that has been kept from us, which, as you said, Richard Hoagland, for example, said that they would rather, they meaning the ruling elite, would rather lose an American city to a nuclear bomb than to give up the science of torsion fields.